All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of my never-ending quest to make life easier for my AWD1000 web development technologies and AWD1111 database-driven website classes, I've been going through and creating a series of video presentations, some video series, based on some of the ebooks by Flavio Copes, and finishing up with the sixth of seven. So far, I've done series on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, ES5 to ESNext, React, and Node.js. The only other one I'll have after this is the Express.js. So as I take a look in here and start to create this, the next thing that we were talking about is the path module, which, as it says, it provides a lot of functionality to access and interact with the file system. It's another built-in one, so you don't need to install it. All right, so it's a way that you can figure out where a file is, or where you want to put a file, where you want to get a file from, etc. And it works very much in tandem with using the OS or operating system module. All right, with the OS module, as it says, it provides functions to interact with the underlying operating system. All right, so some of those are shown here. Again, I'm not my goal here to sit and read these to you. All right, because what they do is they show you them and then they explain virtually every one of them following. But I would just be doing a lot of reading, and I don't see the benefit in doing that. The events module, we've already talked about the event emitter class earlier. As it says, the events module provides us with the event emitter class. So again, he said he's got a whole article that he published on that, but it's not clickable, it looks like. So you can require it. So again, it's just built in. All right. And as it says, the event listener eats its own dog food and uses these events. Okay. New listener, when a listener is added and removed, to remove them. But here are the things that you can do with this. Again, what is shown next is every one of these. Usually they're not examples programmatically. They're just a little snippet of code that's in there. All right. Jumping back, and we'd already talked about this with the HTTP module. So you already looked at some of this stuff. You can see that it has methods, status codes, etc. There's the request, the create server we've looked at already. There's a get. And again, these are all explained just as well in here. Now, there's some neat stuff in here. And what I mean by that, for example, if you look on the screen, because I just buzzed right past it, but if you take a quick look on the screen right here, here are the different status codes that can be returned when you try to do something. Now, typically, what you're looking for is something in the 200 range. 200 is really the best because it means okay. All right. Usually things that are in the 400 range are not good. Unauthorized, payment required, not found. That's the infamous 404 error, etc. This does a good job of explaining all the different status codes that can be indeed returned. But then we've got, again, just a quick little explanations of all this stuff that's in here. Some more HTTP stuff, and then some stream stuff. In here, I'm up to page 178. All right. What are streams? So let's quickly take a look at that. As it says, they're one of the fundamental concepts that power NodeJS applications. They're a way to handle reading and writing of files, network communications, and any kind of end-to-end information exchanged. They're not a concept unique to Node. They basically provide two major advantages over data handling in other ways. Those are memory efficiency and time efficiency. And then again, they've got some examples. This isn't going to make a lot of sense until we start working on some apps in class. That's why, even though I'm not spending much time on this, We will actually spend some time on it a little bit later. All right. The last thing that's discussed in here over the last few pages is how to work with MySQL and Node. Now, in the AWD 1111 class, we will work with Node both with MySQL or MySQL, which is a relational database, and we'll also work with Node and MongoDB, which is a NoSQL database. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it because we're going to talk about it. There is a Node MySQL package that you can use. You have to install it, which means that it's not baked into the actual thing itself. It says that you can go in and you can create a connection where you put in the user, the password, and the database you're looking for. And then when you try to create the connection, of course, if you can't, you let the user know and you get out. Because typically when you are writing some kind of a application that uses a database, if you can't connect to the database, you're kind of dead in the water. All right. Then they show a simple select query, which means grab everything from the to-dos table. All right. So show me everything and just log it out. And if for some reason you can't, just let me know that there was an error. So that is a select, which is the C in CRUD, create. I'm sorry, the R in CRUD, read. This is the C in CRUD for create, also known as insert. All right, so when you're trying to put something in, notice it gets put in basically. You set it up as a kind of a JSON object, and then you insert into that. This is a placeholder right here. All right. When you're done working, of course, you should always close your connection. And the very last thing, and yeah, this is it, that's discussed in here is the difference between being in development mode and being in deployment mode. So let's quickly talk about what the difference is. When you're in development mode, which is what you'll be in most of the time, you're in test mode. All right, you're working on an application. Once that application has been completed and you're ready to give it to somebody that you created, or typically you're ready to use Heroku or something like that and put it out on the internet, make it available to other people, then you move from development mode to production mode. And that's what they talk about in here. And that's pretty much it for this. So when I come back, the one that I have not really gone through yet in here has been, let me find it, the Express Handbook. 60 pages. If I have time, I'd like to go back and do a little better job with the React Handbook because I didn't do a very stellar job with it before, but we'll see as we go on. But that's it for the Node Handbook.